So this is literally the 10th million time I'm trying to record this video, but I just want to be happy with what I put out there, and I want to make sure that I get across everything I want to say and make sure that I tell my story to the best of my ability, because although I make jokes and things like that, what happened to me is very serious, and I do want to talk about it and just share with you guys my experience and what happened to me in the hospital, how I almost died, and how grateful I am to be here today. So without further ado, let's get into this because it's a long story, but very interesting, so keep on watching. So on my birthday was February 11th, I had decided to do several different outings on different days for my birthday because I was turning 25. There was a couple different things I wanted to do, and one of them was on the 17th, I went to archery, went out to dinner, and then went to Union Hall, which is a bar, lounge, concerts kind of arena in New York City. It's in Park Slope. If you guys are from New York City, you might have been there. And I went specifically because on Saturdays they have like a dance night and it's actually pretty lit. So I wanted to go with my friends, and it was a normal day. I didn't have much to drink, maybe 3 to 4 drinks. I don't even think I finished the fourth. I'm not a big drinker. I don't really like alcohol like that, and one of my drinks was actually wine. So I'm not really a big drinker. I was not drunk. I wasn't turned, besides the twerking I was doing, which would have happened regardless. I was not turned whatsoever. So that night I had a great night with my friends, and then we all went home. I was totally fine when I got home, and I was totally fine when I woke up in the morning too. I got up, I went to go get some groceries, and on my way back, I threw up on the street. And I was like, why am I vomiting right now? Like, this makes no sense. Like, I didn't feel sick at all, and I just started vomiting. And that was on the corner of my block. By the time I got back into my apartment, y'all, I was coming out of both ends. It was absolutely disgusting. I kid you not, I was in my bathroom floor with a blanket and a pillow, just in there for hours because it didn't make sense to leave. That's how serious it was. It was so bad. I was in so much pain. Oh my God, like just thinking back on it is honestly traumatic, honestly. So as the day progressed, close to late afternoon, my arms and my legs started to tingle, and I was legit freaking out, because your arms and your legs are not supposed to be tingling at the same time. Like, am I having a stroke? Like, what's good? I was freaking the fuck out. Fast forward to 2 a.m. Now it's the 18th. By this point, I'm having trouble breathing. No matter what position I move in my bed. I was finally back in my bed at this point. Like, I was still vomiting, but I wasn't vomiting as much. So I just had a bag near my bed, and that's what I was doing. I did not want to be in the bathroom anymore. So I moved to my bedroom, and I was trying to get comfortable, and I realized that I could not breathe. So I went to my mom, and I was like, Ma, I really can't breathe. Like, we have to go to the ER. And no one really wants to go to the ER. So I really was trying hard to get comfortable. Like, I was in my bed, moving all around, but it really wasn't working. So we decided to go because you cannot play with your airways, ladies, okay, and gentlemen. You cannot play with your airways. So made sure we got to the ER. I was going at it in the car, like, because it was, mind you, I woke up super early that day. Like, I'm an early riser. Even on the weekends, I probably woke up at like 8:30. 9 o'clock. Like, so from this time on, now it's the next day, 2 a.m., and I'm still vomiting. So you can just know that it's not anything. First of all, I didn't even have anything to eat that day. So it was just all bile and mucus. So we get to the ER. They admit me into the ER, that little room that you go into. And they give me the oxygen mask, and they send me off to x-rays. And when I got back to my ER room, they told me that they thought I had an advanced pneumonia, and they wanted to admit me into the hospital. Now, when this was happening, this is when I start to black out. Everything I'm about to tell you from now on the span of like the next 2 weeks is all retelling because I was in a medically induced coma for this part of my hospital stay. Like I said, they had given me the mask to breathe, but at this point, the mask just was not helping me. So I'm like, the mask isn't working. The mask isn't working. I can't breathe. So there's something else that they give you before actually intubating you, which in case anyone doesn't know, when you're intubated, you're put in a medically induced coma. Impella and they put a tube down your trachea for you to breathe. I'm not sure. I also had a tube in my stomach. I'm not sure if that's part of the intubation process or if that was put in after. I don't really know, but I had a tube down my trachea, tube down my esophagus to my stomach. So anyway, before they intubate you, because they don't want to take it that far unless absolutely necessary, there's a second set they do when the mask isn't working, but I'm not sure what it was, but they tried to give me that and that wasn't working either. And at this point, I really can't breathe. I've lost consciousness at this point in the sense of like, I don't remember this part, but my mom tells me I grabbed and was like, Mommy, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And that's when my mom screamed for someone to help me, and they came with the intubation tray to intubate me. So at this point, this is when everything goes downhill. I got admitted. So when they, did my vitals, once I was intubated, they realized I had a super fast heart rate and very high blood pressure. So they tried to give me medication to counteract these effects. I don't have high blood pressure, by the way. My blood pressure is actually super low. Just for a reference, like my natural, for example, like I'm back to normal and my blood pressure yesterday was like 103/55. Like my blood pressure is super low. And in the hospital, even once I was extubated, which is the opposite of intubated, so once I was taken out of the medically induced coma and the tubes were removed, I still had extremely, extremely high blood pressure, like heart attack territory. I was like 160/90, 168/90. It was real crazy. So like I said, they gave me medication to counteract these effects, but they were not working. And in this time, they also discovered that I was having left side heart failure. And my heart, when they showed me, once I was awake, they showed me what my heart was doing. My heart was not doing a damn thing, like not a damn thing. So you have your donuts here, like they beat like this. And my donut, my left, I promise you that was the movement. Like it was doing nothing. They told me it was like running at like 10%. So at this point, I'm in a dire situation. It's not looking good. If I stay like that, I absolutely would have died. So they decided to put me on 2 life support machines. I was put on one first and then it wasn't really working on its own. So they decided to add in another. So I was on the Impella and the ECMO. I'm not sure which one went first, but I was on both. Now, although these 2 machines are great, they are life support machines, the Impella and the ECMO, and have the heart and the lungs working when they cease to be working on their own, but they come with a lot of side effects too, and I happen to get all the complications. So this is not in any particular order, but these are all the things that happened to me while on the machine, just due to the complications with the machines that just happened. The first thing I believe that happened was that I started to internally bleed in my abdomen. My abdomen was really hard, so they guessed it right that I was filled with blood, so they cut me open to release the blood. They sew me up, and then a couple of hours later, it happens again. Sorry if the lighting is changing. It's the evening time, so the sun is going down and all that. But yeah, like I said, they cut me open for a second time because I filled with blood for a second time. And this time, they decided to leave me open to avoid a third incident. I had 31 blood transfusions. 31. I've never even been sick, admitted to the hospital ever, and your girl is here on her deathbed having 31 blood transfusions on 2 life support machines with hypertension, and her heart isn't working and her lungs ain't working. It's absolutely crazy to think about. 31 blood transfusions. I found out that I'm O negative. So another thing that happened is, which is like a huge component as to why I have trouble walking now. And so basically I lost circulation to my right leg, and I was also filled with fluid. So they had to cut open my right leg, technically called a fasciotomy, to release the fluid and also check on the muscles to make sure it wasn't dead. Turns out it was. Like I had some muscle death and also nerve damage to my right foot. Right now, my foot, your foot, you walk, it goes like this. The ankle bends, your toes move, they're straight. My foot does none of that now. My foot is basically frozen in time. So my ankle can't move. I can't really move my toes. I can move my toes very slightly, maybe like this. Can't move my toes. My big toe is kind of stuck in this position. I don't know why, but that's just how my big toe is right now. With the problems with the foot, you then also have problems with your calf and your knee. So from the knee down, I really just have a lot of issues. It's very weak. With the foot, especially from the ankle down, the nerve damage causes it to be very painful at times, because with the damaged nerves, they will randomly send pain signals when there is no pain to be had. So it can be really painful and actually debilitating at times, where I can't really get around because it's hurting me so much. I can't really walk for far distances. And when I say far, I mean like 2 blocks. If that, I need to sit down or stop walking because my ankle is on fire. My ankle's really weak because of nerve damage and like just deconditioned. So that's really where my problems with walking comes in, and why I need the cane and the walker. And I also use a shower bench in the shower. I also use a brace indoor and soon outdoors once I get my brace. It's currently being made. So that is where my problems with walking come in, is because I lost that circulation to my right foot and had the fluid buildup. I just have damage from the knee down. It's just going to take some time, and it's honestly up in the air how much strength and mobility I will regain in my foot, and there's really no way to tell. That's just how it is with nerve damage. It's hard to tell how much you're gonna get back, if you're gonna get it back, how long it's gonna take. No one really knows. Now, my doctors and my surgeons feel that because I'm so healthy and have bouncing back, I should say, because I feel like I give off this impression that I'm much further along in my journey, and I've progressed amazingly. Do not get me wrong. I've made amazing progress, but I still have a long way to go. I still need help around the house with certain things. I have to get around in a car because I cannot walk to the train. I can't go on the train by myself. When I go to the gym, my mom or my dad usually comes with me. I'm lucky enough to where they were able to take family leave, so they are with me throughout the week, and they're able to come with me to the gym and get the weights for me and things like that. Because like I said, even walking to go get weights multiple times, that's just too much on my ankle. So although I've progressed a lot, I still have a long way to go. But that's really where the problems with the walking come in. Not only am I deconditioned and lost a lot of strength, but with the nerve and muscle damage, it's just, it is what it is. That's really all I could say. I am so grateful to be here, and so happy and so blessed, because the amount of support that I've gotten from my friends, from my family. We needed our own waiting room. That's how hard my family and my friends came for me every single day, making sure I was okay, wanting to see me. They were there for everything. There was a time where I was so filled with fluid and so swollen where I didn't even look like me, where when I was extubated and can finally get out the bed again, with help of course, my doctors were like, oh, that's what you look like? Because your girl was like everywhere. I was unrecognizable even to my family. They were like, if that was in your hospital room, we wouldn't have known it was you, sis. That is everything that happened to me while I was on the life support machines. But finally, 2 weeks later, we saw some light at the end of the tunnel. My heart started to beat at a normal rate again, started to get to 40%, and then soon was beating on its own. So I was able to be taken off the life support machines. My lungs started to work again. Oh, what I forgot to mention is the reason why I was having so much trouble breathing is because my heart wasn't pumping any blood to my body. So my pulmonary veins got backed up with blood, and therefore backed up my lungs and air sacs with fluid, which is why I was having trouble breathing. So once I started to get better, they slowly started to wean me off the sedation. During this period, my family and my friends were still coming to see me, and they were saying that, like I said, I was being weaned off, but I wasn't completely off, so I still don't remember any of this either. But they would tell me that, like, they would say my name and I would like blink, or I would move my hand, little things like that. I'm still intubated at this point, but they wanted me to be awake. So finally, the day comes where little Miss Brown can wake up and see the world again. And best believe I was confused as hell, because you have to remember, the last thing I remember is me being in the ER saying the mask isn't working. So to wake up with tubes coming out my mouth, I'm in a hospital bed, my right arm is all crooked, my legs, feet, abdomen looking pregnant, everything is so swollen, and my foot doesn't work. Oh, I was also restrained when I woke up because apparently at one time while I don't know if I was completely off sedation and I tried to do this, or if I was sedated or somewhat sedated and when I tried to do this, because while I was awake, I was just hallucinating like mad, like hallucinating like crazy. 90% of the memories I have while being awake while intubated aren't real. So like I said, I don't know when this happened, but I tried to apparently take the tubes out. Like, your girl wasn't having it. So they had to rush in and restrain Shorty. So I wake up and I have these like mittens on my hand. So I'm just like, what is going on here? What is going on? Of course, the doctors come in and explain to me, and they were telling me that like they're really at this point, the next step is to get me extubated, get the tubes out so I can breathe on my own and can get out the bed and start rehab. Oh, I forgot to mention that my kidneys also shut down. So at this point, I am on dialysis. Luckily, oh my God, I'm not even going to get into it. Dialysis is the most annoying process in the world. In the past, I've heard people with kidney problems who are on dialysis literally say, if I have to do this for the rest of my life, just kill me. And I totally understand why. I'm not going to get into it because it's going to make this video that much longer, but just understand it is such a ridiculous process and you feel like shit when it's done. So I'm so happy that my kidneys came back so quickly. Oh, I forgot to mention also that I lost my gallbladder as well and ended up getting infected in the process. So they do have to remove it. So literally my heart failed and the rest of my organs started to fail, which is why I was such in a dire situation, because my organs were just like, nope, 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 nope. And when I woke up, I was awake and intubated for about a week before I was extubated. So like I said, your girl was hallucinating like crazy. I literally thought there were two other people in my room. These people do not exist. The girl to my right had her head in a box. And the way I rationalized this was like, oh, maybe it's some medical contraption I've just never seen before, instead of saying, something ain't right here. And then to my left, there was a crazy old man going like this in the corner with no shirt on. And in my head, I rationalized that as well. And that's what's crazy about hallucinations. Like, as real as you're watching this video right now is as real as what I was seeing and hearing. Yes, hearing things as well. Your girl was hearing the doctors and the nurses and the surgeons and everybody talk shit about me. Like, does that make any sense? They were literally like calling me all kinds of hoes, prostitutes, saying I date old men for money. Like, I was truly bugging. And it's so crazy to think about. Like, I was in the hospital for so long that I did kind of form relationships with the doctors and the nurses and the surgeons that were on my case. And it was the complete opposite. Like, when I finally was awake and people could talk to me, they were literally crying. Doctors, nurses, and surgeons crying in front of me because they were so happy that I was alive and they worked so hard on my case. So to think that I was literally thinking that they were just talking shit, like telling other nurses to not take care of me because I was such a bad patient. I also had another hallucination that one of the doctors said something real wild and crazy about Haitians. And then some of the Haitian nurses was beefing. Like, how do you create fake beef? How do you create a fake argument that you see in front of you? Like, isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? So anyway, but while this has happened, like I said, this was my reality. There was no, oh, I'm bugging because of medication and I'm sick. No, this was my reality. And your girl was ready to fight, because I'm here like, I'm in this bed. I can't do nothing for myself. I'm literally shitting on myself as a 25-year-old, need to rely on someone else. And y'all people's is talking about me like I almost died, and y'all are really talking shit. Yo, I was so mad. I was ready to fight. I was like, wait till I get out. Wait till I get... Yo, I was... Yo, I was so ready. And that's what kept me alive. Not only did I have the support of my amazing friends and family, but I also had people talking shit and was trying me. And Taylor can't be tried. I'm so sorry about it. She cannot be tried. So I was ready to fight. I was like, yeah, I'm like this now, but watch when I get out. Watch when I get out. Y'all gonna feel me. Y'all gonna feel me. That bucketing your sister, that nuck if you buck. That's what kept me alive, because I was ready. Y'all know how feisty I am. I was ready. I'm crazy. And this is low-key embarrassing, but like, I don't really care at the same time to tell y'all. Like, I said I thought people was talking about me, and I had to wait for my revenge. But another thing about me is that I am so impatient, like so impatient. If anything takes more than like 2 seconds, I get irritated. So I'm like, I cannot wait for this revenge. So what can I do now? So your girl literally, like, I would take a shit, like purposely push out a shit, and they would have to come clean me up because, like I said, I couldn't do anything for myself. They would have to come clean me up, and then I would just, instead of like releasing myself completely, I would wait for them to clean me up, clean my bed, change my linens, all of that, and then I would shit on myself again and just be like, oops, sorry. Like, just to give them extra work as my revenge. Like, oh, y'all want to talk shit? Well, wipe my shit. Wipe it. Y'all, I'm crazy. This was me in the hospital under intubation, like still acting crazy. Like, just so funny to think about. Just so funny to think about. I'm sorry to the nurses that I did this to. I'm sorry. I know now, well, I knew after waking up that y'all wasn't talking shit. And honestly, I just want to take this moment to thank everyone that was on my case in the hospital. Just the most amazing people. Like, I don't have the words to express how I feel about the people, the nurses that took care of me, the doctors and the surgeons. Like, I'm literally getting emotional right now because they really like cared so much. Like, talking to them, like I said, they were crying, they were praying over me. Like, it's just crazy how personally involved they got with my case because I was so young. They were working so hard. They were like, we don't have patients like you at this age going through these things. Like, it just didn't make sense for them. And once they learned like my backgrounds, because my friends was there every day showing them my Instagram, like, so they just knew where I come from. And being that I was so young, not that they wouldn't care about someone else. And I'm just so very thankful to have gone to literally one of the best hospitals in New York City to get my care because I really was taken care of and they saved my life. So I have nothing more but amazing things to say about the crew. Possibly some of them are watching right now because a couple of them did follow me on Instagram and I followed them. And if they're watching this, or if you're watching this, you know who you are. Like, just thank you so much. Thank you so much. But anyway, your girl's crazy. So fast forward to the day I finally was able to get extubated. I think I'm saying that word right. That day I did have dialysis, a pain in the motherfucking ass. And I was shook because they extubate you completely awake. You are not sedated. There's no numbing. There's nothing. So I knew I was going to be in a lot of pain. I'm on the bed. It's time for them to remove the tubes. There's a couple nurses in the room, the surgeon is removing the tubes. And he just looks at me and he goes, Taylor, what did you get in the valley? And I'm like, what? And the dude just started tugging. He just started tugging and your bitch was not ready. So the sound that came out of my mouth, I sounded like I was being plunged, like it really sounded crazy. Like, it didn't make any sense the way I sound. And I had 2 tubes. So we gets the first tube out. I have tears running down my face. It felt like someone put their hand down my mouth, grabbed my asshole, and pulled it out through my mouth. Like, that's what I felt like. I was literally turned inside out. I know what my stomach tastes like. Yes, I know what my stomach tastes like. No question about it. I know what it tastes like because it came right in my mouth when it was pulled out of my body. It's a torture I would not wish on my worst enemy. Like, it was so bad. But anyway, it was so painful. But anyway, I had a second tube, like I said. So he's like, we got to get the next one. And I'm like, no. And he just started pulling again. And then when that tube is out, I'm like vomiting. It's real nasty. The reason they don't sedate you is because they want to make sure that there's no damage to your vocal cords. And they want you to speak when they take the tubes out. So everyone's yelling at me like, say your name. And I'm like, say your name. And finally they're like, yeah. So they're cheering and they're clapping. They give me the mask once I'm starting to talk because they don't let you breathe room air when you're first intubated. They still want you to have a little bit of help. So they give me the mask, and one of the nurses that I actually really did get cool with, one of the nurses, and I hope he watches this. So He comes up to me and he's like, that was powerful. How do you feel? Blase, blase. And y'all have to remember, I said y'all gonna feel me when I wake up. But in this moment, I realized your throat feels like it was rubbed with sandpaper and acid. So you can't really buck right now. But your girl had to say something. So when he came up to me, I pulled my mask off and I'm like, why are you talking to me? All raspy because I haven't spoken in weeks. And he's like, what? And I'm like, why are you talking to me? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I know you was talking shit. And he was like, I wasn't talking shit. And I was like, yes, you were. And I put my mask back on and I just turned my face away. And he was probably like, this bitch, let me leave her alone. Let me give her a minute. Let me give her an hour. She been through something. She clearly, if she lost a little bit, she got me confused with someone else. Let me leave the crazy bitch alone. Come to turn out, complete opposite, like I said, but that's all I could give at that moment, so I had to give it. Because you ain't gonna play me like no bitch. You ain't gonna play me like no bitch. My mama raised me better than that. Much better than that. Once I was extubated, I actually started to get better a lot quicker, probably because I was able to eat food, real actual food, for a little bit, because after a couple of days of eating, I actually was sick for like 2 weeks, I would say, 2-3 weeks, where I was just vomiting and have nausea. And this started while I was in the ICU and went on even after I was discharged at the hospital. I actually ended up back in the hospital because of my vomiting and nausea. Like, it was nonstop, to where I ended up in the hospital to avoid dehydration. I was in for a couple days and then re-released early April. Like I said, I had no gallbladder, which helps you metabolize fat. So that was one of the issues with eating. And then also I just hadn't eaten in weeks. So my body had to adjust. I was also still filled with fluid in my abdomen. It was very swollen. Just a lot of different factors coming into play on me getting better. But eventually I was able to eat a normal diet. I have been eating a normal diet for 3 weeks, I want to say now, without incident, which I'm very happy about, because it was imperative for me to eat to gain some weight, because, I mean, your girl is still super skinny. Your girl's still super low in her weight, but she's getting there. At first, it was a bit of a struggle, but at the same time, I was progressing as far as mobility, because when I first woke up, my right arm was like this, my head was like this, my arms were like this. I couldn't even text. I couldn't use my phone. I couldn't do anything for myself. So I started rehab almost immediately after being extubated. Maybe the next day, we started with just sitting up because I couldn't hold my head up or anything like that. Then we moved to getting me out the bed and shuffling me to the chair. Like, they would help me get into the chair that was next to my bed. And then from there, I started working on steps with a very supportive walker. Then they decreased to a less supportive walker, to a cane, to a couple steps on my own. And this all happened within 2 weeks of me getting better. Now with the walking, that's what it was. But either way, it was still such huge improvement in a quick time to be able to do a few steps with the cane in a week and some change. So I started rehab while I was still in the ICU, and then eventually I was moved to step down, which is where you go when you need to still be in the hospital but you're not in critical condition. You go to a step down floor, and then they moved me to the rehab floor, where I had rehab for 3 hours every single day, and I was there for 6 days to a week. And then from there, I was finally released from the hospital. Oh my God, I was so happy. I cried because I was so happy to leave. I hadn't been outside in over a month. I hadn't seen the sun. I was just so happy to leave. So happy to leave. They were actually kind of trying to make me stay a couple more days of rehab, but I was like, absolutely not. I want to go home. So I was, healthier. I still couldn't really do anything for myself when I left the hospital. I still needed help getting into the bed, getting into the shower. Complete help around the house is what I needed, but at least I was able to, I could get help out the bed and be awake and talk to people. Once I was discharged, like I said, I was still dealing with the nausea and vomiting. But once I was out of the hospital for the second time and had a few weeks under my belt, I started to no longer vomit or get nauseous when eating, and I was starting to feel better and retain my food with no incident, and just getting my energy back, because before that point all I was doing was sleeping all day in my bed because I had no energy. But slowly but surely I started to get better, and now I'm at a point where I can go back to the gym, of course with help, but I can go back to the gym. I can get into the shower by myself. I have a shower bench, but before I needed help to get on that bench and get in the shower and clean myself. But now I can clean myself on my own. I can get on the shower bench by my own. I can go down the steps by myself. Really all that I really can't do for myself at this moment, when my foot isn't hurting, because when my foot is hurting, I really do need help with pretty much everything. But when my foot isn't hurting, I can do those things for myself besides going to the gym by myself or transportation. I cannot wait until I can travel on my own. Whoever said that they wanted to get back on the trains? Not anyone ever. But I don't have the independence to go just whenever, wherever, to leave when I want. So I'm hoping that will be the case soon, especially once I get my outdoor brace. I'm really, really hoping that it'll allow me to just walk and with no pain. Hopefully, I don't know. Because once I can travel on my own, we can really get some shit done. We can get back to it. You know what I mean? Now we are at this point. I've been out of the hospital for over a month. Pretty much the only place I haven't really had progress is specifically my foot. But because that is nerve damage, like I said, that just takes some time. So I'm just really thankful and really blessed. I'm so thankful for my Instagram family as well. You guys show me so much love and support. It's stupid. The amount of messages I had when I finally was able to get back on Instagram, when I was able to use my phone for myself finally and go back on Instagram, I couldn't believe the messages I was reading of people who noticed my absence, which I didn't even think was going to be the case. And then when I started sharing my story on Instagram and, sharing my progress and things like that, how I'm inspiring others and like getting people to start their fitness journeys, because if I can do it, they can do it. At the end of the day, that's why I do this. I do this to inspire. I do this to educate. I do this for myself too, to learn from others. I learned so much from following other people on Instagram. That this is what I went to school for. This is what I love to do. And I know more now than ever that I am in the right field and I'm on the right path with my social media influencing and with my brand and just the things that I have in mind for the future with my business. I just know for a fact that I'm on the right path because I'm inspiring so many people, which is why I do this, to change their life for the better, especially my Black people. Another huge component as to why I do this is to reach people like me in my community, my Black men and women and children, because food is really killing us. Look at, and purposely, like that is the reason there's so much fast food and liquor stores and little delis and bodegas and things like that in minority neighborhood as compared to whiter neighborhoods where you have more health food stores, more natural food stores, access to fresh vegetables and fruit. In some minority neighborhoods, they don't even have access to fresh fruits and vegetables, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't feel like I should have to say this, but just in case someone is feeling extra sensitive, extra butthurt, just because I'm speaking about my community and reaching Black people means that I just want to help Black people. No, I want to help everyone. But I am a Black woman, and therefore I'm going to look out for my Black men and women. Just like everyone else looks out for their own. I look out for my own too. So don't get offended. Don't be butthurt, please. Please and thank you. This is one of the main things I wanted to mention and why I wanted to make this video. They don't know what happened to me. They've done many different tests, many different exams, and everything came back negative. We don't know if it was a parasite, fungus, a virus, congenital. Like, we don't know what it was. And we do in the medical field create a lot of drug resistant and stronger bacterial strains with the amount of antibiotics that we prescribe. So that being said, being that they don't know what it was, I want you guys to be, again, aware of the symptoms I have. I was vomiting, I had diarrhea, my arms and legs were tingling, and then finally I was having trouble breathing. So if you have any of these symptoms, you just want to make sure that you're watching it. If it's something where you're vomiting all day into the next day, you definitely want to go to the hospital because you can end up dehydrated. Airway, you always want to handle that immediately. You do not mess with your circulation. So if you cannot breathe, make sure you do go to the ER. But those are my symptoms, just in case for whatever reason someone wakes up and they feel like that too. You'd be like, damn, I remember when Taylor told that story where she almost died. So be up on things, take care of yourself, be healthy, eat well, exercise, tell your friends and your family that you love them. Don't take anything for granted. Stay positive, work hard, stay determined, be proud, be blessed. And thank you again for watching. I have so much more in store for you guys, so much more to share with you. And I'm just so happy that I am here to share it, because there was a time where it was looking like I wasn't going to be here to share it. So, thank you again. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one.